Much better. Hello again, and welcome to the Wisteria Cottage. This is another serving of convention tea, and we are going to be talking about WonderCon 2025. WonderCon is a 3-day convention in Anaheim. It is the younger sibling to San Diego Comic Con. There are many Comic Cons out there, but WonderCon is a part of that granddaddy of all conventions, San Diego Comic Con. So a lot of things that you'll see at WonderCon, you'll see again if you attend San Diego Comic Con. They really go hand in hand. One of WonderCon's strengths, it's very it's very programming focused, and it's not so much Hollywood focused as San Diego Comic Con. So you don't get a lot of the lines for like Hall H Hollywood style panels. Rather, you get a variety of programming that goes all across fandoms. And also, I wanted to make mention if this is your first time checking out Convention Tea, just a little bit of background on us. Scarlet Rhapsody, we've been hosting convention reports. We've been reporting on conventions, providing coverage since the early 2000s. I started this operation in high school when I went to Anime Expo 2000. I just wanted to share photos and stories from one of my first anime conventions, and for the past 25 years, I just haven't stopped posting, just haven't stopped blogging. We very much pride ourselves on being the longest running active website hosting convention reports and photos. So you can definitely still see a lot of our photos from conventions past on our website. Link in description if you want to just browse through and just go through convention lore. I do pride myself as a fandom historian, and as you can see here, this is my colleague Joe of Diwata Comics holding my book, The Fangirl Diaries. This is my book that is now out in the world. This is a lived experience on what it was like to be a cringy millennial tween in the early 2000s of anime fandom. So link in description if you are curious to read, if you're curious to get yourself a copy. And likewise, if I'm at a convention hosting a panel, I'm more than happy to sign your copy of my book. All right, let's get into the nitty gritty of WonderCon 2025. I don't really have exact numbers of who attended, how many people attended WonderCon 2025, but I will say, it's definitely a fraction smaller than San Diego Comic Con. The Anaheim Convention Center is like one of my favorite venues for conventions, but it's also a pain in the butt to get parking at. Because I know there's been a few times where we just had some parking challenges where we had to park kind of off site over right by the Cheesecake Factory, or even at the Disneyland parking lot right across the street from the Anaheim Convention Center. So I always tell people, like, if you're planning WonderCon, if you're driving back and forth, which most people do, to arrive early, especially on Saturday, the busiest day, because you'll save yourself a lot of time if you do arrive early and just get yourself a parking spot. WonderCon, I've been attending WonderCon since it was at the San Francisco Moscone Center when I was a university student. I've been attending kind of on and off. I didn't attend last year because I didn't have a good time in 2023 and I decided to do SakuraCon instead. But hey, the convention said, like, yeah, we'd like to have you do your Y2K panel, talk about your book. Like, yeah, I'm definitely up for hosting another panel. I'm definitely up for talking about my book. And also, one of my missions at WonderCon, just like Emerald City Comic Con, was to also network within the writing industry. And WonderCon is a great place for professional development, just as Emerald City Comic Con. WonderCon has a growing interest in the indie press area of book girlies such as myself, or just book people in general. And I'm very happy that we're seeing like more like young adult romance, romantasy programming, as evidenced by the popularity of such books as A Court of Thorns and Roses. I always call it ACOTAR, like, but I have to like slow myself down like anytime I have to say the whole thing. All right, before we move forward to talk about WonderCon, one of our sponsors is Petals and Poisons. This is a gothic jewelry and accessories company that I work with, and and if you want some gifts for friends or gifts for yourself, treat yourself, you can use my code Spectre15 to get 15% off your order. Again, that code is Spectre15 to get 15% off your order over at Petals and Poison. Now, let's see, WonderCon 2025. I ended up going to WonderCon 2025 with my ride or die convention buddy, Geki. You might see him on the stream from time to time. I decided to cosplay, of course. So my three cosplays were a reprise of Hannah Alexander's Sailor Venus artwork right here. I really enjoy this costume, and I was very happy to have people recognize who I was cosplaying as, because right off the bat, if you're not familiar with Instagram fan art, you probably wouldn't know that this is the Hannah Alexander Sailor Venus. You wouldn't know Sailor Venus off the top of your head, but I really enjoyed this as my Friday costume. Got a lot of compliments, got a lot of love for it. And then on the second day, I decided to cosplay a Star Guardian Ari. And while I did cosplay a Star Guardian Ari at San Diego Comic Con the last day, I was a very tired fox. And this time around, I really felt in character. I really felt like I was really exhibiting Ari's spirit, and it was really fun to be a demonic fox on Saturday. And then I decided to just close things out, cosplaying as Nero from Freight Grand Order. Basically, Sunday is a light day, so I decided just to record content for Cosplay Wrestling Federation. I wouldn't expect people to get the Neko World Order shirt, because Nero is the owner and general manager and empress of the Neko World Order. So I decided to just record some content for that. And if anyone would get a laugh out of the Neko World Order shirt, all's good in my book. All right. So likewise, WonderCon took place at Anaheim, California. The city is best known for its connections to Disney. Right across the street is Disneyland and various resorts and hotels connected to the famed theme park. And it's very no surprise that we have a growing abundance of Disney cosplayers. There's never a shortage of Disney cosplayers at this convention. I even heard stories of friends like going to the parks right after they were done at the con. Like, yeah, like they had the not the Darth Vader, the Death Star popcorn bucket that they were giving out. So a couple of my friends like, yeah, we're leaving the con right now so we can get the popcorn bucket of the Death Star. And also we had a Luke Skywalker at the end of Return of the Jedi version of it in his black outfit that makes him kind of look like a priest. I call it this like priestly Jedi outfit, because even like back then when I was watching Return of the Jedi, like, yeah, Luke looks like a priest. All right, so that's Anaheim, California. The Anaheim Convention Center, it's very beloved by a lot of locals. A lot of people in the anime community have a lot of nostalgia for the Anaheim Convention Center. And while I'm of that era, I don't really have a lot of attachment to the Anaheim Convention Center. I like it as a venue. It's very easy to get around. It's just a pain in the butt to get parking at times. All right, I want to say these were the popular fandoms at WonderCon. If you have any other opinions on this, I always like to say what the three popular fandoms are, and if you have any other opinions, you can leave that in the comments or in the chat. So, we had a lot of Marvel cosplayers, but more specifically, we had a lot of people representing Marvel Rivals. There's a lot of popularity in that game, and I also want to say there's a lot more popularity going on with Marvel Rivals over the actual MCU itself. In fact, there was a Marvel Rivals cosplay meetup, and there was also a huge group of Marvel Rivals trying to get a complete cast by the secondary fountains by the arena. Here we have Doreen, aka Squirrel Girl, and we saw a lot of Squirrel Girls, and that actually made me very happy. I'm very happy to see like Squirrel Girl cosplayers, especially with how they pull off the bushy tail. I did mention earlier that we do have a lot of Disney folks coming in, and when I say Disney, I mean things that are like made by Disney, not any of the other IP that they colonize. So these are organically Disney, I guess you can say. So these folks are cosplaying from Gummy Bears, the Disney Afternoon animated TV series. And then, of course, Star Wars is also very popular at this convention as well. I also want to throw in Arcane, specifically Jinx, as one of the more popular fandoms at the convention. And we also do have photos of the Arcane meetup later on in our tea time with WonderCon. I call this section surprise fandoms, like fandoms I don't expect to be represented via cosplay, but it's there anyway, or fandoms like, hey, I know that. This makes me smile. So we have Ted Lasso here. At first, I thought this was my buddy Daniel from CWF. Like, no, Daniel does not have a mustache. So I was very happy to see Ted Lasso. Of course, we have WWF, WWE folks here. And then we also have Ghost. We have the Nameless Ghouls. There's also like a mini Ghost meetup, which I thought was amazing, but we'll still see that photo when we go into Saturday. And of course, I have to make a separate section of this. I call the Swifties of WonderCon. Ever since I started cosplaying as Taylor Swift and my Taylor Swift Tortured Poets outfit got a lot of buzz at Emerald City. Like, okay, if I see like any of us, I'm gonna, because of my bias, I'm gonna have a separate section here, like Swifties of insert convention here. So I saw not one, but two Travis Kelce cosplayers, which actually is kind of funny to me because there was a Coach Reed cosplayer at Emerald City. I'm not no longer a Chiefs fan for a lot of reasons, mainly because of their ties to insert political stuff and things here after just learning more about their lore. So like, but you know what? I love me some Taylor Swift. So the first photo here, it's a crossover between Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas and Reputation. And then we also have my buddy over here from Emerald City Comic Con representing the Evermore era from the Eras tour. And then we also have a cosplayer here in the legendary and iconic Lover bodysuit. I did tell her when she was in line for the Funko Pops, like, yeah, one of these days I'm definitely gonna make the all pink Lover bodysuit and wear that to wear that to Emerald City Comic Con. Just fun fact, the pink Lover bodysuit was the Lover bodysuit I got when I saw her in London. For those of you counting at home, London Night 7. And before we go on for a day-to-day breakdown, I just also want to give a shout out to my idol group, Angel Hearts. You can follow us over at Angel Heart Idols over on Instagram. We're also on YouTube, so you can watch our various performances. And speaking of being a Swiftie, I am the Reputation Red Angel of Angel Hearts. You can see my photo right there, all in red. And we're looking forward to more performances in the coming year. We've just been confirmed for Annie Pop over in San Diego, and we hope to see you at our performances. All right, day one. So day one, I was rolling solo for most of the day and just kind of like just wandering around the dealer's room because the dealer's room and the exhibit hall, they're big. You're going to have to dedicate yourself some time to explore. And the best time I think to explore is like when you have a lot of low traffic. So Saturday can get pretty tight. You can be pretty packed in there. So one of my favorite things at WonderCon is to like look at all of the vintage toy booths and just kind of see what's there. Also, they had a D&D section. I thought the gaming room was over at the Anaheim Hilton. I was about to say AX Hilton, but Adventures League, they were also running D&D over in the dealer's hall. And also what I liked about this area is they were selling like lemonade boba, and like that helped me survive the convention because like sometimes after water you need something with a little bit more flavor. Just some DC cosplayers I ran into. I love their outfits, especially with the bodysuit here that Harley Quinn is wearing. Like, fierce. I love it. Slay. Then we also had like a Marvel Cowgirls group. And I do appreciate the Agent Carter rendition of the outfit. Agent Carter needs more love, people. Like, both Captain Carter and Agent Carter can exist in the same world. Also, just one of my personal biases, but they are amazing and they deserve to be shared. It's my friends cosplaying from the Enchanted Tiki Room. You have Jose and you have Pierre. And of course, you also have to have Dole Whip because what is a visit to the Enchanted Tiki Room without having some Dole Whip? For those of you who are not Disney people, the Enchanted Tiki Room is a show attraction in Disneyland. And one of the traditional things to do when you're at the Enchanted Tiki Room is to buy yourself some Dole Whip, because it is one of the few shows at the park where you can actually enjoy yourself some food while the show is going in a very immersive tropical building. Yeah, just sharing some more photos here. Looks like we got a Baldur's Gate going on here. I've always wanted to play that game, but unfortunately I don't have the means to do so. But if you feeling so helpful, you can go ahead and donate to my Ko-Fi so I can get a brand new PC. All right. Also, I wanted to mention with day one, we also ran our panel. I don't have any photos here because, like, by the time like it was the evening, I was like, I'm just kind of like just chill, just kind of like, you know. So I ended up running my panel with my colleague, my ride or die, Geki Netic, and we had a pretty good number of people in the audience. We had like close to 20 people in the audience. The panel was at 8 p.m. Most things at the con close out at 6, so a lot of people are already like it's the end of the day. Geki and I ended up getting some coffee, and like we just started to just kind of run our panel. Prior to the panel, Geki, I called him the pizza dude because he actually brought in pizza from one of my favorite places, Ray's Pizza in Irvine. And we just kind of like just had like our usual meat lovers pizza right before the panel. Panel went great. Again, small but sweet audience. I really appreciated everyone coming in. And right after that, we had Star Wars trivia. Couldn't stay too long. It was already 9 o'clock, and I was already feeling a bit tired. And yeah, it was a pretty good and productive day one. Got to run around the dealer's hall. Didn't really do panels other than ours, but let's go on to day two. But before we go on to day two, let me give a shout out to multitasky.com. You can use our discount code Cadillac Cats for 10% off your entire order. What I like about multitasky.com is you can not only just get office supplies at Multitasky, you can also get this light ring, which I use for photo shoots. So for example, if I don't have a photographer that I have some scheduled shoots for, I would just take my light ring with me, and I would just go to like one of my favorite places to do my photo shoot. So for example, here, this is Biltmore Hotel in downtown LA. And during Anime Expo, I didn't want to trouble like my photographer friends to go out to the Biltmore for a photo shoot. So like, I will just do my own. In fact, at WonderCon, there actually was a panel titled like how to do a photo shoot with just your iPhone. It's amazing how far technology has gone when you can get some really nice photos off your phone. All right, day two. This is a bird's eye view of WonderCon from the main balcony. You can see here that you got the food trucks just lined up right here. You can see the surrounding hotels. You can see the palm trees, very Southern California. And you can kind of see that circle of kind of like in the center there where people are just kind of gathering and mingling together. So this is kind of like your main plaza, your main meeting, like town center of WonderCon. If WonderCon was its own principality, this would be the town center. Day two, I really appreciated again just seeing ghost cosplayers. So just seeing like this, I don't know if this was planned. Wait, I'm just like looking at. Is that? Oh my god, I just realized that. So that's Papa Emeritus and Jinx. Wow. 'Cause, like, why does Papa Emeritus like have blue hair? And then I'm looking at the color. Oh my goodness, that is Jinx. And I'm assuming over there is Vi as a nameless ghoul. My mind is blown. Wow. But anyway, I am looking forward to Papa V and getting to know him a little bit better. I know, a cottagecore witch, like, hey, I like Ghost and Taylor Swift. Also, one of my favorite things about this convention is random karaoke. So there's this guy over here. He looks like this guy who's a fan of Cosplay Wrestling Federation. He looks like this guy named Lamar. And then he was like just running karaoke in the middle of the walkway here. And I didn't do karaoke, but I actually joined in when the Sally cosplayer who was dressed in Reputation, the Reputation bodysuit from the Eras tour, I was like, hey, can I join in for Ready for It? And I wasn't cosplaying as Nero, I was cosplaying as Ari. And I just thought that was just a lot of fun, just singing along with a Sally cosplayer to Nero's entrance song for Cosplay Wrestling Federation. So yeah, that was a lot of fun doing that. Also, I think at this point, K Rock actually interviewed me. So for those of you who don't know, K Rock is a local alternative rock radio station. I don't listen to them. I know a lot of friends that do, and they're doing a guess my cosplay kind of thing based uh on the description I was giving without naming the character. So like, okay, my character has fox ears, she's blonde, this is one of her many outfits. It's giving Sailor Moon vibes, but it's not from Sailor Moon. The colors are white and magenta, white boots, white gloves, and some touch of purple here and there. Yeah, this is what I mentioned when this is the Sally cosplayer. I'm singing Ready for It. And if you notice here again, this is a Jack Skellington. Yeah, it is Travis Kelsey, but skeleton. I think a lot of my Bay Area friends would appreciate that, but anywho, yeah, it was just so surreal because like, hey, wait, why am I hearing my W Cosplay Wrestling Federation entry music? And like, wait, this is, and I'm just like, wait, my mind's not tripping now. It's like, oh, they're playing Ready for It. So I just like how this guy had like this karaoke setup. So I will refer to this gentleman as Lamar's non-union equivalent. Okay, so day two, I was also just kind of wandering around. I mentioned earlier that the indie press section, they had a lot more books. Um, so I ended up whatchamacallit, there was an author, and she was asking attendees for names for an upcoming book that she was writing, and my buddy Geki and I were just giving her and some name ideas. And I think at one point she was asking names for an FBI, two FBI agents who were men. And because the FBI agents, um, someone already gave the name Richard, short for Dick. So like for the second one, I'm like, okay, I need like something that sounds like butt. So like, okay, so if Agent One is Agent Dick, humor. Maybe like Agent Two, Agent Ashton, Agent Reardon. Yeah, that's where my humor goes. Or Agent Seymour Butts. So this is me and my buddies over at the Wada Comics, and I actually did sign my friend's copy of my book. He brought his copy of my book to the convention, and likewise, if I'm at a convention and you have a copy of my book, I'm more than happy to sign on the spot. And the best way you can find me at conventions until they start bringing me in as a guest is at my panels if they are approved. And I do have some panels approved for both SacraCon and for Fanime. Also on day two, I went to a D&D panel, and I'll admit I haven't played D&D in a while, and I admit my knowledge of D&D is very rusty, but I do listen to a D&D podcast called The Legend of Taylor. This D&D podcast is based off the lore, the fandom, the memes, the in-jokes, the over-analyses of the Taylor Swift fandom. So a lot of the people who their characters in the D&D game, they're based off of Taylor Swift songs. And I've been listening to their podcast since I met them at LA Comic Con, because not only their podcast is great if you don't know much about D&D, because it's also has been a really good refresher for me to just sort of relearn D&D. And as I'm listening along, I'm also getting inspired to create characters for D&D. But I'm also an adult millennial that doesn't have many friends who play D&D, but it's mostly has to do with the fact that our schedules don't align. And if you played any long form D&D campaigns, a lot of those campaigns can take a lot out of you. So it's also a matter of just finding time and energy to do so. So to remedy that, I've been listening to like a lot of Legend of Taylor. To yay, these are like the friends I have that I'm listening to their campaign, finding out the mystery behind Rebecca Harkness. Okay, Rebecca Archer, sorry. Again, it's just a bunch of Taylor, but I did talk to them after I talked to them after the presentation, and was telling them like, yeah, it's when I'm listening to your podcast, I have this rejuvenation in D&D again, and I really am very thankful that they were giving out free dice, and the free dice also included a map of the D&D campaign for Legend of Taylor, and each of the places are named after Taylor Swift songs. So yeah, a great way for me to get back into D&D, even though I'm probably not ever going to be in a campaign again because adulting is kind of funny. So sad. I can't even do Baldur's Gate because I don't have the right equipment. And this is actually from their Instagram. And you can actually see here that I'm sitting here in the front, just taking a photo of my dice. And they even had some extra dice too that I actually ended up giving it out to my friends that I played D&D with in the past, but again, our schedules don't quite line up together. So like, here's like dice if we ever want to do this again. But yeah, I just find it funny, like, yeah, like this is them taking the selfie and there's me like in the background. Also, on day two, we have the Broadway musicals meetup. Of course, because this is the year of Wicked, and For Good is coming out later this year. Like, yay, For Good. Um, it was very common to see like a lot of Wicked cosplayers. And also at the musicals meetup, I was supposed to show up as Eliza Hamilton, but my Eliza Hamilton cosplay didn't fit me anymore. So we also had Beetlejuice cosplayers. We also had Hadestown, and of course, like I mentioned before, we also had a couple of Elphbas here. Maybe next year, if I just can lose a little bit of weight, I could probably fit into Eliza again. But we'll see what happens. I'm just very happy that there is a presence and a fandom space for musical lovers like myself. Also, day two, we had the Arcane cosplay meetup. It was pretty huge, and this is like the final shot of the Arcane meetup. I was very happy to see a lot of Arcane cosplayers. However, I did show up as Ari just to take photos. I wasn't expecting, like, yeah, if you're from League of Legends, come on in. And there's a Lux cosplayer there, and we were just kind of like sad bonding that none of the Arcane cosplayers knew who we were. It made us sad. Like, I don't expect anyone who's in the Arcane fandom to play League of Legends. Like, not at all. I don't blame you if you just want to stay away from like gameplay, because I totally get it. Because I was in your shoes before, and I always feel like League is just best played when you have like a group of friends. That's just my opinion, but I understand if people want to stay away from playing League because I know it has a reputation for a reason. But at least one person please recognize Ari and Lux. It'd be nice. I mean, Lux and Jinx are besties. Like, come on. At least one person that we can also nerd over League of Legends with. So we just started to sad bond over that. I also just wanted to point out, just as a bit of etiquette, I was debating back and forth if I should add this in. Of course, I'm censoring this guy's face here. Is if you're at a cosplay meetup and there's like a smaller group of people who are being called up for like a theme, please don't walk up close to them because you're gonna get in like my shot and other people's shots. Like this was not intentional. I was just really trying to frame the group over here of the Mel's, and this guy just walks into my shot like, guys, kind of just get in line with the rest of us. Again, I just want to just point out just some cosplay meetup etiquette. Again, if there's a small group and you want to get some shots, don't block people. It'd be nice because I might accidentally get a photo of your back end. Also, this is, for those of you who don't know, this gentleman here is actually a voice actor on Arcane. This is Earl. He voiced Loris. Loris shows up in season 2. He's a drunk guy that Vi runs into, and he just decides to just kind of show up as Loris at the cosplay meetup and like, I wonder if people will recognize me. And that's him again over in the small press area. We were just kind of like just hanging out, just chit chatting, and I was telling him about the Star Guardian lore of League of Legends. This photo is actually from my colleague Lorraine, who's a psychologist. She's working on a series called Little Brainstorm. So again, like, was really very happy to just kind of hang out with a voice actor from Arcane. And by the time it was like 6 o'clock, we were already tired. We were there like since like almost like 10 a.m. ish, and we're like, you know what? We want to go home. We want to have some food. We want to have some wings. So we just ended up just piecing out like at 6. I know it meant us missing the Asian American representation panel, as well as like another networking event for my buddy and I to do. But you know what? I think it was just best to just rest up. We ended up watching Elimination Chamber at my place, had chicken wings, and it was all good. All right, before we go into day 3, I want to tell you about our other sponsor, Yemax Sweater. Yemax Sweater is one of my favorite places for cozy clothing. You can get some clothing that you can wear around the house to stay warm. You can grab yourself some sweaters, cardigans, any outerwear in any color to make you feel your cozy self. So, if you are interested, whether it's for you or gifts for friends and family, you can use my code YEMAC hyphen Dame Asbal to get 40% off your order at yemacsweater.com. All right, let's divulge into the last day of WonderCon. So this is again our little gathering plaza here at the Anaheim Convention Center. And one of the things I really liked about WonderCon is I attended like a lot of book panels. I attended a romantic fantasy, or rather romantasy panel, and we talked about a lot of how people were integrating their culture within the magic of that world. Like, for example, one gentleman who was writing about like a magic school was talking about like, well, hey, what if we had a HBCU magic school and like integrated like a lot of Southern voodoo and a lot of Southern like witchy culture into it? And I thought that was pretty fascinating. Attending a lot of these panels that deal with books is also a great way to see what else is out there. And if you know a friend who might be interested in this genre too, you could also meet the authors. They'll be more than happy to sign your book at the convention. So a lot of these panels were sponsored by Mysterious Galaxy Books. This photo here is from the young adult fiction presentation. And I actually was curious about The Last Blood Carver. You belong here because the author had mentioned that it's a book about like, okay, it's senior year, young adult romance, and that's kind of like what I'm currently writing right now. So I'm like reading it for inspiration and some motivation. And the other book featured here is like Coffee Shop. It's kind of like it's like I can't read the rest of it, like Coffee Shop something universe. My apologies. I apologize for butchering the title. It actually did sound interesting because I didn't notice this, but we were talking about how coffee shops are like the meet cute of like a lot of romance books, whether it's YA or spicy. So like I really like the fact that like, hey, we're playing on some tropes here. But I'm really looking forward to reading these books. I ended up picking them up over at WonderCon, went over to Mysterious Galaxy Books. You purchase your books there, and then you would pick up your books when you got the signing. So again, if you are a book person, bring a lot of money because you'll meet a lot of really interesting authors out there, especially in the realm of fantasy, and especially in the realm of like romantic fantasy as well. And I'm gonna say this, I feel that this section of indie press is only gonna grow in the next couple of years now that there is a huge interest in reading books outside of popular franchises, and that makes me very happy, and that opens so much doors for more writers out there because we need more magical worlds for young adults, and also the child at heart for us, because there's just some authors, I won't name names, that don't deserve to be platformed, and these people do. All right, just more running around WonderCon. I missed the Disney cosplay meetup, but I'm very happy to see my representation of Disney villains here. We even have Mad Madam Mim from Sword in the Stone. I was telling her that, like, hey, I cosplay as Arthur from Sword in the Stone. I actually do. So it's actually the Disney design, but with a saber face. If you are familiar with Fate, I do a saber face Arthur from the Sword in the Stone animated movie, and I even have like the Sword in the Stone book that you see at the start of it. I need to do that again. I also want to highlight more cosplays that I found on day three. So we also had like Louis from The Princess and the Frog. I love Louis. If I had to choose, if I were to name my top five Disney husbandos, Louis would be at the top of the list. I'm really sad that we're not getting that Tiana series because I think because one story I had in mind that I would love to see is there actually is a southern legend of shape shifting gators. And I would like to see like, I wonder what Louis would look like in human form. Anyway, and then we also have My Little Pony, and it made me very happy to see My Little Pony cosplay in 2025 because I did cosplay as Fluttershy at a Requiem's My Little Pony event, but we decided like we're not gonna wait 2 hours in line where it's hot, and plus I was with a friend of mine who has a disability and they can't stand in line for more than 2 hours, so like okay, let's go somewhere else. And then over here we have okay, I know it's not Barbie Corsican sisters, so that would be awesome though. Oh, it's Barbie Princess and the Pauper, so we have Annalise and Erica. Of course, just kind of wandering through the dealer's hall, you have your Gashapon by Bandai. A lot of people are just kind of hanging out here just to get their to try their luck at gambling. Yeah, just kind of walking around here. I also wanted to make mention, not because I'm Filipino in my human form, not my VTuber self. I'm just a Wisteria witch. I don't know if there has a culture or anything. But I saw like a lot of Filipino comic artists over at the indie press. Not only do Iwata Comics, we see them all the time. We also see Quinta Comics all the time. We also see Kid Robot Comics all the time because they're in charge of Lumpia. And I'm very happy that Lumpia is streaming for free on Tubi. Now I can finally watch that movie. So we also have Hot Tropics, which carries a lot of graphic novels that are translated to English. And that makes me very happy too because they also have Tagalog Boys Love. I'll repeat that. They have Tagalog to English Boys Love. And I'll tell you this much, no one does Boys Love better than the Philippines. Because honestly, I grew up in the era of Boys Love when it was promoting a lot of toxic, groomy type relationships, very problematic relationships. But I just like seeing things that are very wholesome. I like seeing men that like aren't stereotypical to roles prescribed that are very stereotypical in the yaoi community. I like seeing buff men liking other buff men, if that makes any sense. And I was very tempted to get the gay volleyball one. It's not high but it actually is legit like by gays for the gays, which is my favorite telling of boys love. It's for the gays by the gays, and I love it. Day three, I decided to also just run around and just look at all the vintage toys they had on sale. If you look closely here on the right hand side, top of the shelf, you'll see they have two gem dolls. They have the vintage one, and they have like the newer one. I think this is the newer one that Walmart is selling. And I was making a joke with a friend, like, I'd like to get the new gem doll, but that means going to Walmart, and Walmart is a big no-no right now. But I did see like the old gem, and having the two together, side by side together, I'd say I prefer the old gem doll over the new one. I'm sorry. I also like the Tegrity toys rendition of their gem line, but it's so hard to find those these days, and and because they were made to be collectibles, they're gonna cost a pretty penny. But I do like the Tegrity line. Also, just kind of running around the dealer's hall. They also had this booth to promote Ridley Scott's brand new comic, and I kind of had to do a double take. Wait, Ridley Scott? You mean like House of Gucci, Ridley Scott, Gladiator 2, Ridley Scott? Don't get me wrong, I love you, Ridley Scott. You've made some classic bangers back in the day. Alien, Blade Runner, but I don't know if you're doing stuff like House of Gucci as a passion project because I have a lot of respect for you. But I did pick up a free copy of Ridley Scott's comic book here. They were giving these out for free. Like, must be nice to have all this money to give sample work out for free, says the starving, tortured writer in this age of fascism. Also here on day three, this is one of my favorite vendors. They sell like a lot of hairpins, hair bows, very feminine, very East Asian hair accessories. I always see them at Comic Con, so I was very happy to see them again here because I also need some supplies for my idol group. So I ended up just getting a few things for my Reputation Red self. And of course, that concludes WonderCon. This is just us just getting a final vibe check before leaving. And again, these are the secondary fountains. And this concludes just kind of going through our vacation slides of WonderCon, people. And again, do check out my book and my book, The Fangirl Diaries. This is about anime fandom in the late 90s and early 2000s. I just wanted to just tell what was it like being a teen, having access and finding access to anime. And from being an anime fan, was it like really to really find community, to really find people when there weren't a lot of spaces for queer kids? What was it like trying to struggle with my Asian American identity when it was being glamorized and fetishized by the anime community? So do take a look at this book. Link in the description if you do want to buy your copy directly through my publisher. In addition to that, I highly recommend to also request your library to carry a copy of my book. And in addition to that, if you'd like to meet me at a convention, definitely contact your local convention. Let them know you would like to have me as a guest at the convention. More than happy to do panels, more than happy to do talks because I talk a lot. I like yapping. All right, that's not part of WonderCon. All right. Constructive criticism. So I think this is more of a me issue when it comes to like age. Like I'm starting to see that I'm starting to feel really tired when it comes to like the 6 p.m. hour. Like, yeah, I'm ready to go home, ready to take a nap, ready to rest up. But it also meant sacrificing because I was curious about the masquerade because I had friends competing in Barbie outfits. I was curious about that secondary networking thing that my friend had told me about. I wanted to check out that Asian Pacific Islander representation panel and also maybe get some networking from that as well. But I also kind of had to realize what is my mortality these days when it comes to conventions. Other constructors' criticism is just, as I mentioned before, just having etiquette at cosplay meetups, especially when you have like larger cosplay meetups and when you're calling in smaller factions. Don't block photographers because I might accidentally get a photo of your rear. Final thoughts. I generally like the programming at WonderCon. There always is something very interesting. I really do like the fact that I was able to attend a lot of book panels. I ended up attending a writers networking event on Sunday, and I got some really good contacts out of that. So, just from an author perspective, I highly recommend WonderCon if you have the means to go. It's a great way to network. It's a great way to get advice, even if you have something published out there in the world. This is still a great way to also just kind of getting that reassurance, like, yes, I am doing the right thing. I am on the right track because I think that was just a reassurance I need just talking to various seasoned authors and also just networking with bookstores, libraries. I think this is also a great event for that too because we also have some libraries present at WonderCon who mentioned that they were interested in having me doing an author talk. In addition to that, the vibes were much better than previous years, but I think I just learned to just kind of just avoid like just some certain areas of the convention, I always feel very overwhelmed by the amount of GWCs, aka Gooners with cameras, at the event. I mean, granted, there's always going to be Gooners with cameras at every convention, every cosplay convention I attend. But knowing that I also have friends such as Art of the Luna, Robert, um, Alvin Photography, that are more than happy to take a photo whenever I'm available. And I apologize to Alvin. I wanted to get, I knew you wanted to get a photo of my Ari, but I was just kind of sitting in my tuffet, like just in the middle of lunch, and I forgot to ask, like, yeah, I'm full. Like, it's time to go. Like, oh, shoot, I forgot to ask Alvin. But if you ever run into Alvin at conventions, he's a huge sweetheart. Um, he's always willing to take photos of like all types of cosplayers, and we really need more of that in the community. Cause shout out to you, Alvin. Yeah. I had a good time. I really enjoyed the panels that I went to. I was always very apprehensive about attending like tabletop thematic panels because I remember last time a colleague of mine had mentioned that whenever they go to a tabletop thematic panel here, it's mostly just shameless plugging and self promotion and not how to actually perfect your craft. Granted, The Legend of Taylor was more of a behind the scenes kind of presentation and just like how people were coming up with their characters and what inspired their characters, and which I really did appreciate. It's like, okay, what's the behind the scenes on this? Because if you're attending, you are all likely are already listening, or you're already a fan, or you're curious, and you're probably going to be following us anyway. I also appreciated all the communication from the WonderCon staff to getting our panel off the ground, and I always appreciate just how organized everyone at WonderCon, San Diego Comic Con are in terms of like helping out panelists. I also appreciated the staff giving Geki and I a spare room to enjoy our pizza right before our panel, because like if he's gonna feel weird just kind of like just having floor pizza, just eating pizza off the floor, like no, we have some tables in this other room, like you can go ahead and enjoy your pizza, like yay, we can enjoy our pizza. So, final thoughts. I actually did enjoy WonderCon this year, both from a professional and leisure standpoint. Yeah, definitely. October is always a hairy time to, sorry, the springtime is always a bit of a spicy time to plan out conventions, because now that I have Emerald City Comic Con as one of my I gotta do this type of conventions, WonderCon is still like, okay, if I have time, if I'm asked to do panels, I'll definitely consider going. If not, it's not the end of the world. However, if you are a fan of pop culture, and I would say the crowds aren't as bad as San Diego Comic Con, but if you want to just go to a Comic Con, um, take some cosplay photos, ask nicely, of course, partake in cosplay meetups, check out a couple panels, do some shopping, check out some artists. You'll see a lot of crossover with San Diego Comic Con with the artists and the indie press that is present. But yeah, it's Comic Con, San Diego Comic Con, without the stress of getting tickets, without the stress of getting hotels. But you might stress over getting parking. So again, I always emphasize arrive early and make a plan and be prepared to do some walking if you end up parking over by the Cheesecake Factory. And that is it for our WonderCon show. Thank you so much for checking us out. Always appreciate having you, friends and followers, to the Wisteria Witches Cottage. Again, all our socials are in the description. Again, I would love you to check out my book, The Fangirl Diaries. And again, I'm more than happy to sign it at a convention. If you like what you see, support us on Ko-Fi. Your support on Ko-Fi can also mean supporting us affording parking at conventions. You have no idea how much a dollar goes along, especially in this economy. And I hope that made sense, because I had to be somewhere in 3 minutes. And with that said, thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of Convention Tea. We're glad to have you at the cottage. And the next con for us is SakuraCon. So we'll see you in Seattle once again.